And the fifth place finish at the 2022 Mr. Olympia event goes to Big Ramy. Momdell's by A. What a rotten spot to place for Big Ramy being the returning champion, and considering he was the returning champion, and he looked bad, but not too bad. He probably could have easily got a higher placing, but if you look at the history of the Mr. Olympia event, it seems like to me that fifth place has always been a great big FU by the IFBB. Well, that's a theory, guys. That's a conspiracy, I guess you could say. But call it a conspiracy, call it a theory, call it whatever you want. It did not hurt the Beatles, didn't hurt the Beatles, and it can't hurt bodybuilding. Makes it interesting, and I'm sure everybody that watches this video will be extra focused on the gentleman that does place fifth at the 2023 Mr. Olympia event to see if it is an actual FU by the IFBB or just a half-cocked theory, or is it a coincidence? Let's look at the history of fifth place in the IFBB at the Olympia event. And the first person to ever place fifth was in 1972. It was the only time that there was five guys up on the open class. And it was Franco Columbu. Obviously, I do not count that as anything. You move into the years, there was no fifth place guy in 73 or in 74, 75. There was none in the open class. We're just going to skim through these years. Up until 1977. We got 1977. In fifth place was Ken Waller. Why not throw the screws to Ken Waller? I mean, he stole Mike Katz's t-shirt. He was a big to-do. He thought he was the cock of the walk. Probably got some tainted placings earlier on in his career. Why not? But anyway, I don't really count that. 1978, and this is, in my estimation, the first example of fifth place being a bad placing. Maybe a ripoff. Maybe the old frig you, because I don't like to use the other F word. That's my F. Frig. So it's not an actual swear word, guys. Kalman Sikalik. Sounds like a sneeze, for goodness sakes. But he did not look like a sneeze. He looked like a fantastic bodybuilder with one of the biggest man's chests I've ever seen. I mean, we're talking side chesties, baby, please. Side chest, not what I just said. But anyway. Kalman Sikalik. Everybody in the audience, they thought he was probably going to upset Frank Zane that year at the Olympia. Thought he was going to win, for goodness sakes. And they announced fifth place goes to Kalman Sikalik. The guy was so upset, they booed. Supposedly, you can't get the video footage, but you got to go by people's words. They booed their heads off, and Kalman, he did a crucifix position, and not the type that you would see from such superstars as Paul Delatte or Lee Haney, things of that nature. This was a religious type affiliated crucifixion, things of that nature. I don't want to stir any pots as far as religion is concerned, but you know the basic plot. Guy was crucified. They nailed him to the boards, and that is what Kalman Sikalik was trying to duplicate by basically saying the IFBB just crucified him. Just ripped him off. Should have won. He placed fifth. And I believe Tominator once did a video about 5 guys that placed fifth at the Olympia that could have won. And I believe Kalman Sikalik was that one. And as we will go through, we're going to go through all the years, though. 1979, I would hardly call this a ripoff. Bob Birdsong, good bodybuilder. But we're just going to, like I said, we're going to skim through these years. And 1980, now we can see. They figured, well, we did it to Kalman in 78. Let's do it to Mike Menzer in 1980. And this was one of the more well-known rip-offs in bodybuilding. Now, before I continue, guys, I am not saying that I believe that it was a rip-off. I've gone through these pictures, and it is somewhat inconclusive, so no. But there is a lot of people that say Mike Menzer should have been the Olympia champion. I'm just going, hearsay. Hey, Boyer Coe was pretty good. Frank Zane, he wasn't the best. Chris Dickerson placed second, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, won. But a lot of people point to that Mike Menzer versus Arnold Schwarzenegger picture comparisons, thinking that Mike Menzer, yes, was in fact the uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion in 1980. And I'm not gonna dig myself into a grave here by saying that he was for sure, because structurally speaking, Arnold was beating them all. He was beating them all, and the picture footage is too blurry to say that one guy was more conditioned than the other. If you're talking condition, Boyer Coe had some steroided glutes there, I can tell you that much. But anyway, Mike Menzer, yeah, he might have gotten a little bit of an FU there. 1981. You can see these names, guys, and I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, it'll make you wonder. It'll make you wonder. Danny Padilla. I mean, they were standing him next to Franco Columbu time and time again. I mean, people figured, well, Danny Padilla might win this one. Franco Columbu might win this one. But, of course, Tom Platz. Need to mention Tom Platz. But Danny Padilla, I mean, I think I've done comparisons with Padilla and Platz. And Padilla is unbelievable. This guy was so crisp. He could have easily won, and compare him against Franco Columbu. In my opinion, it's no contest. And he gets fifth. Why would they give Danny Padilla the old heave-ho in 1981? Very interesting. Did these fifth place guys have words with the judges beforehand? You don't want to upset the judges. I'm here to tell you. Go to 1982, Al Beckles, guy's been around for years. Why not? Why not give him the old nephew? Not really. 83, here we go, guys. 1983, a perfect example of a bodybuilder being ripped off here. If you look at the development of one Bertil Fox, Bertil Fox, I might add. In 1983, the guy was easily, I don't want to say he was the clear winner, but he was easily, if he won, everybody would have agreed. It would have made sense. The guy was ripped. His condition wasn't off. His back wasn't that bad. His back was actually decent. His posing and things of that nature were maybe the weakest link in this guy's repertoire, which could have made a big difference. But to make this video more entertaining, and, you watch a documentary or things of that nature, they always side towards one thing. And I guess I'm going to side towards the whole conspiracy that these guys are getting the screws thrown at them. The old heave-ho into the water. And Bertil Fox, 1983, I believe that he was ripped off. I believe that they gave him the old frig you, the IFBB at the Olympia. But it wasn't their first, was it? And probably won't be the last if I decided to make a video on it. 1984, Roy Callender. Why not? Like a lot of them, they've been around for years, kicking around. They figured, we'll give them the old heave-ho, place fifth. But not really, guys, not really. 1985, anything there? Mike Christian. He was great. Mike Christian was great. In my estimation, should have destroyed a guy like Muhammad McCoway. Structurally speaking, yeah, he could have beat Rich Gaspari and Al Beckles. So there is some strength to the belief that Mike Christian was ripped off in 1985, and probably some other years too, as we'll see. But anyway, 1986. This is a fun one. Barry DeMay, that guy was pizzled. He was shredded to the diced, is what I'm so saying. Great display, great posing techniques, things of that nature. Of course, Al Beckles, Mike Christian, both of those guys got ripped off too, supposedly, and they're placing ahead of him. So, Peter Hansel, Bertil, he slipped. Go to 1987, and this is an interesting situation. Robbie Robinson, out of nowhere, he placed fifth, because a few years prior, if you look at the lists, I believe it was 1984, or 85, whatever year it was, you guys can go and correct me. He placed like 17th or something like that. So he was placing almost dead last, and they figured, we'll bring him on up to fifth. Give him the old beating. Give him the beat down. Put him fifth. And then, so Robbie Robinson gets ripped off. like he had before, probably. And then the following year, 1988, they put him back down. So they brought him up 1987 to rip him off. But here that we're at 1988, you can see who placed fifth. You see that? It's Gary Stridham. Gary Stridham was awesome. And another situation where he was being compared with the returning champion, the guy that everybody had picked for first, Lee Haney. So in a lot of situations, Gary Stridham should have placed second here in 88, and he got the old FU. Of course, fifth. So 1988, I would say, is a strong piece of evidence that fifth place is somewhat of a ripoff, somewhat of a hee-haw. 1989, Mohamed Benaziza, Momo Benaziza. I mean, call it what it is, guys. If you want to call it a ripoff, you look at the guys that placed ahead of him. Labrada, Vince Taylor, Gaspari. They were all great conditioned bodybuilders as well. Lee Haney, of course. So, yeah, some people could call it a ripoff. Go to 1990, and it's Rich Gaspari in 1990. And it was basically the IFBB telling Rich Gaspari, you're not going to win the Olympia. You had your chance. You had your time in the sun. Ain't going to happen, buddy boy. Ain't going to happen. And never did. You could see Mike Christian, who got fifth earlier. He was climbing. in placings. Go to 1991. I don't see Mike Christian there at all. He was ripped off, guys. Sean Ray. He was obviously not being ripped off getting fifth. I mean, Sean Ray, his best years were far ahead of him at this point. So we'll just skim through these years. Hardly count that one. 1992. Oh, interesting. Momo Benaziza. Maybe it was the IFBB telling Momo Benaziza, we don't want you. You're more conditioned than everyone. You have more muscle in your back, but you're too short. We don't want you. Even though he probably should have beat a lot of guys there. He actually did defeat Dorian Yates. At one point in time, was it the New York Pro or the Night of Champions, rather? It turned into the New York Pro. 1993, Kevin Levrone. Not proper. And also, not a conspiracy on 93, either. Porter Cottrell, that was a bloody, bleemin', bloodin' gift for Porter Cottrell. But maybe a situation where they didn't want to give the screws to Chris Cormier, so they said, no, don't put Chris fifth. But we have him beat him, Porter. No, don't put Chris fifth. Don't put Chris fifth, because we like Chris. But anyway, we like Porter too. Go to 1995, and we see an example of maybe a gift at that point in time. So fifth is hardly a ripoff. It was Vince Taylor, who was good. He was good, mind you. But was he really better than your Chris Cormiers or your Mike Francois or even your Flex Wheelers? Aaron Bakers, you can continue. But Vince Taylor, one of the great ones, guys. And heck, he deserved that fifth place. Still a good placing. 96, we don't count 96. 97, do we count 97? Paul Dillette? Hardly. So yeah, it's a pretty weak defense to say that fifth was an FU. In 1998, maybe. Sean Ray, he was getting awful lippy with the IFBB, talking about what have you. The athletes should be getting more money, things of that nature, which is true. But I mean, you're ticking off the people that don't run the place, things of that nature. They're gonna put you in that unenviable position of fifth. And I mean, in that point in Sean Ray's career, fifth was not the best place to be, and they gave him the double whammy in 1999. 2 years in a row, Sean, fifth. You're not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. So, not too many guys that did place fifth went on to win the Olympia. Not too many at all. And in 2000, Nasser Al-Sambadi. Yeah, I think the IFBB had enough with his delts being all full of site enhancement oils. What were they going to do? Talk to him about it? Listen, Nasser, we know what you're doing, but we want you to stop. No, they wanted to avoid that sticky situation, so they just figured we'll put him in fifth. He'll get the hint. He'll get the old 5th place hint. The hook, they call it. 2001, Chris Cormier. I don't want to diss my man Chris. Now here is an example. Like I said, the Tominator did a video on 5 absolute 5th places that they should have maybe even won. And in 2002, this goes right along with your 78s, your what have you, 1980, 81, 2002. It was a ripoff. Günther Schlierkamp absolutely should have defeated Dexter. Should have destroyed Chris. Should have annihilated Kevin. And probably should have edged out Coleman. Notice how I said edged out for Coleman. Gotta be proper to the Colemanites at all points in time. Yeah, Coleman's king. Don't worry, guys. But Günther Schlierkamp, he did in fact defeat Ronnie Coleman shortly after this. So, that's proof in the pudding. Maybe. That's no pudding. Go to 2003 rather. And in 5th place, we have another big old FU from the IFBB to Günther. I wonder what the concern or what the problem was with Günther from the IFBB. Or is this a conspiracy? Probably. 2004. And it is another big German beast. Much like Günther, it is Marcus. He gets 5th. And if you look at the lineups, guys, Marcus Rule, he could have got a better place than 5th, for sure. 2005, Victor Martinez, maybe not. 2006, Melvin Anthony, again, maybe not, probably not. So that's not like it's every year. Dennis Wolf, 2007, there you go. That is a ripoff. That is a bad spot for the guy's physique. And 5th place seems to be that one. And Ronnie Coleman, he got 4th, which, if you ask me, was probably a gift. That didn't help the situation. I'd have give Dennis Wolf the victory over Dexter the Blade Jackson. Little tongue-tied. Maybe even Victor and Jay. Never know. So yeah, Dennis Wolf, 2007, getting 5th. That was a ripoff. Absolutely. Tony Freeman, 2008. No, not at all. Phil Heath, you're not going to give. Now, there's an example of an Olympia champion who placed 5th. So, it's not like getting 10th. Nobody that's ever placed 10th ever went on to win the Olympia champion. So, I guess 10th is an omen, but 5th is more of just a get out of here. Except not for Phil Heath in 2009. Of course, if you think about it, Phil was the 13th Mr. Olympia champion. Maybe he broke that curse by double bad luck by getting the 13th title. Anyway. Who got 5th in 2010? Why, it is the same guy that got 5th in 2007. And they've done that a few times as well. Poor old Dennis Wolf. Old Denise Wolf. They didn't like Denise Wolf, did they? You go to 2011, and no, they didn't like old Denise Wolf. Dennis Wolf gets 5th once again. 7th. 2012, Branch Warren. No. 2013, Dexter. Oh no. Dexter, I think they wanted him out by 2013. They gave him the old Evo. They give him the double whammy. Now, this is an interesting situation. They gave him the double whammy in 2014. Poor Dexter. And by 2015, they said, if he can withstand the double whammy, we're giving him a gift. We're giving him a gift of 2nd place. So there you go. And Big Ramy, there you go, guys. They knew they were going to give him the 5th from way back in 2015. Obviously, we began the video by stating that he did, in fact, place 5th just last year. 2016, we have William Bonac. Will Wheaton. He was ripped off a couple times before, was he not? I believe so. And in 5th place in 2017, we have Sean Roden. And I think that was kind of a an IFBB telling him, because fifth was actually a terrible placing for Sean at that point in time. Should have been runner-up for sure, but he was a little bit soft, the IFBB's defense. But on to 2018, we have Brandon Curry, he places fifth, and Sean Roden won this year. So that is 2 times in a row, the guy that placed fifth went on to win the Olympia title, happening to Sean Roden, and go to 2019, Brandon wins. And Rolly Winkler got fifth. Come on, Winkler. They were disappointed in Winkler that year, is why they gave him fifth. Because everybody thought he was going to win. That would have been huge for the IFBB. That would have been big. Everybody loved Rolly at that point in time. Would have been massive, and they knew he didn't win. He was a little soft. He was a little off in size, so they figured we're going to, we'll give Dexter that fourth, which is a gift. In my estimation, watching this video, fourth seems to be somewhat of a gift to these gentlemen. 2020, and we're getting into modern day bodybuilding, and you look at the roster here, you look at Curry, Phil Heath, he was way off. Even Hattie Shupin was not the best in 2020. William Bonac, a guy that was getting second the year prior, he's getting fifth this year. To William Bonac, yes, it most certainly was a big old FU. And 2021. This is interesting to me. Because Nick Walker seems like a type of a guy that will be consistently ripped off for the rest of his IFBB career. Prove me wrong, Nick. Prove me wrong, IFBB. Maybe they'll watch this video and say, uh-oh. This moron, this Marmaduke-looking moron, this idiot, Marks Max Muscle, he's caught on to our brilliant scheme of giving everybody the old fifth place hee-haw, our hee-haw hoedown. Anyway, guys, Big Rammy getting fifth in 2022 is how we're going to end this one off. That was a terrible placing. And by now, yeah, I think they're pretty, they know what fifth place means. It's either a way out or telling the guy, like they did with Sean Roden in 2017, if you don't pick up your pace, we're going to give you the heave-ho. We're going to start placing you out of the top 10. Or worse yet, 10th place. Unless they're the champion. That can't happen. Anyway, guys, just a fun one. Not to be taken too seriously. I don't want the Bob Ciccarellos of the world getting upset at this. We love you too, Bob. We love you too. And we feel that you were ripped off in 2002. Definitely. Most certainly. Have a great one, guys.